Welcome back to News Conference. Joining us from Washington is Chuck Todd, host of Meet the Press, which airs every Sunday morning at 8 o'clock. So, Chuck, let me ask you how difficult a conversation is going to be between Joe Biden and members of the progressive wing of his party when he informs them, by the way, $15 an hour minimum wage, it's off the table. It's not going to be part of the COVID plan.
Well, I think it depends on how he delivers that news. I think saying you have to take it, that it isn't going to be in the COVID relief package, I think progressives will accept that. I do think Joe Biden is hoping the Senate parliamentarian makes that decision for him, Conan, so that he doesn't have to be this straightforward about it. But, I mean, Joe Manchin is also a key vote here, and he's shown some discomfort with it. But that doesn't mean they can't introduce it standalone. And so I do think there's been this idea that if it's not in the COVID relief package, it suddenly goes away. Honestly, I think there is some Republican support for this if it were standalone, particularly on the House side. It's there. And I wouldn't rule out an ability to do it. I don't know if it can get to 60, but maybe you try $12 and it might. So I think it really depends on how he delivers that news. If he says it's not in COVID relief and we're going to table this for a while, then yeah, I think progressives get very upset. But if Biden says, look, let's do it standalone and let's go, but let's get COVID relief first, I think progressives will give him the benefit of the doubt.
COVID relief first. Time is of the essence. When do you think he's going to push for a vote on that out of the Senate, using reconciliation, which in layman's terms means just a majority? You don't need a supermajority to end a filibuster.
Right. 50 votes. If they need Kamala Harris, they'll use Kamala Harris. Look, this thing is on its glide path is a little bit optimistic. I don't want to call it a glide path to passage, but it is on the track. The House is about to pass what it's going to do. I think it certainly, if they can get a ruling early on the minimum wage decision about whether it can be included in this or not, I think that would sort of clear up the potential political hurdles that still remain here. But I think they set a March 14th deadline. There's no reason to believe this won't. They shouldn't be able to get this done by then, especially if the minimum wage ends up not in the final bill.
How much of what just happened with Texas Senator Ted Cruz is going to harpoon his campaign for president in 2024?
You know, Conan, I've certainly seen enough examples where time can heal. Right? There's, the best thing Ted Cruz has going for him is that it's 2021 and not 2023. He's up for re-election, by the way, in 2024. So he does have time on his side, perhaps, to see if this can heal. But there's also moments where some things become so symbolic you can never shake it. You'll remember Jane Byrne and Chicago and the snowstorm, and it cost her re-election. So these things can stick. This one feels like it's going to stick, but I'm also mindful that one thing Ted Cruz has going for him is a little bit of time.
Right. For those who aren't aware, that Ted Cruz took off to Mexico, to Cancun, in the middle of a unbelievable set of circumstances, which has millions of people in Texas without power, or had it for days and days. I have to tell you, though, one wonders if it was former President Trump, if he were in that situation, he would have said the trip to Mexico was perfect. There was nothing wrong with it. That people actually would like me to get away for a while, and somehow he would resuscitate. Now we have a case where there is shame and there's an apology. We haven't seen that in a while.
No, we haven't. Shame is back. But Conan, let me leave you with a different way to look at Texas. I think it's interesting. You've got California, and it's all Democratic governance. Feels like it's a little bit on trial right now, and you're going to see it percolate, and it could give Republicans a glimmer of hope. And I think you're seeing the same thing in Texas, but in reverse, where 30 years of Republican dominance may be coming home to roost on that front. So it's going to be fascinating to watch our two biggest states to see how their politics handles the next 18 months.
That's true, although I should point out it'll be 80 degrees sometime this week, so we have that. Who's on the program this morning?
I'm going to be focusing heavily on COVID in schools. I got Dr. Anthony Fauci and the head of the Teachers Union, Randy Weingarten. And then we're going to talk a little Texas and the future of the Republican Party with Will Hurd, a now former member of Congress from the state of Texas.
Chuck Todd, if it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press. Thanks very much for joining us. Stay safe.
Thanks, Conan.